Hey, so thought we'd do a little review of blanching vegetables. Have some broccoli rabe. I broke it down already. So here are the stalky bottoms, and then here are the tops, which kind of look like little pieces of broccoli. But the problem with broccoli rabe is they have different cooking times. So this takes longer to cook than this does. And so some people cook it all together. I find that the tops get slightly overcooked when you do it that way. But I mean, you certainly could put it in all together. So what I have here is some rapidly boiling liquid or water. It's fogging up my lens. There we go. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to heavily salt my water, because you always want good salted blanching water. And I am going to put in my stems for about 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm going to put them in for 2 minutes and then test them. Okay, so that's my 2-minute timer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a piece out. I always like to go for one of the biggest ones. Just going to grab my paring knife. You can see how the color is already changing. It's already getting like bright green. I'm just going to grab a piece. Almost done. That's perfect. So now we're going to add the rest. And the reason that we don't want to cook it all the way is because if we cook it all the way, then it will all be overcooked. Like, we need it to kind of like have the same end point. I'm just going to throw the lid back on this to try and recoup my boil and set it for 1 minute. Okay, so at this point, we're going to see if the rest of it is done. And by doing that, we're just going to take the lid off and take one of these bigger pieces, like right here. Maybe we'll take a stem. We're just going to give it a try. That's pretty good. Try it top. Perfect. So I'm going to turn it off, and I am going to shock and blanch it, which means to strain it and run cold water over it to stop the cooking process. Okay, so now that the broccoli rabe is shocked and not cooking anymore, because it's, well, after you shock it, it'll probably be somewhere around room temperature. I'm going to take some good olive oil, and I'm going to use liberally, which means a lot. Use a good amount of it. And then I'm going to add some garlic, lots of garlic. And if you notice, there was no sizzle. And that's a good thing right now, because you always start garlic in a cold pan. And now I'm just going to crank it to high. And so I'm going to make sure it's nice and coated in all the oil. And then what's going to happen is, as soon as this starts to brown, I mean the slightest little bit, I'm going to take that broccoli rabe and I'm going to just throw it right in. And then it's going to heat back up with this toasted garlic flavor, which is going to completely change it. So you're going to have that like kind of bitter broccoli rabe with this toasted garlic on top of it. See how quickly it's coming up? Now, if you wait until the garlic is browned to add the broccoli rabe, there's a good chance that your garlic is going to burn. Now, if I was smart, I would have saved some of that broccoli rabe liquid, and because that would have helped stop the cooking process of the garlic. So in place, like in the future, if your parents let you, you could always add like wine or something or some other kind of cooking liquid, which will stop the cooking process of the garlic. Like when you make Alfredo and you want to like toast the garlic first, you would probably use a wine. Now what I have here, while this is working, is I have some hoagie rolls, some Amorosa rolls with some provolone. And before I added the provolone, I just toasted them in the oven to like kind of freshen them up a little bit. And then back here, I have my wife's roast pork, garlicky roast pork. Okay, and look, it's already starting to get a little toasty brown. I'm gonna turn it down to low. I'm gonna add my broccoli rabe, and there's a little bit of cooking liquid that'll come with it, which will help. Just gonna mix that in. If you think that the garlic is still browning too much, you can just add a little bit of liquid to it, and that'll help stop the caramelization of the garlic. And you can hear it, like it. See how much it calmed it right down? That, and I turned it down to low, but the water definitely cooled it down. So it's basically, I would say, pretty warm right now. But by the time we plate up, it'll be hot. So at this point, I'm going to start plating. And if you haven't figured it out already, I'm making roast pork sandwiches. So I'm going to take my wife's famous roast pork, which is amazing. I'm going to put some pork on every sandwich. And then I'm going to do that to all of these. And then at the end, I'm just going to top it with some broccoli rabe. And sometimes, that's hot, sometimes the pork sticks together, but look at that. Okay, I'm going to take some broccoli rabe, just lay it on top. There we go. I like to get a good amount of stems and greens. Sometimes I'll even cut the stems up really small because sometimes, you know, they're kind of hard to chew in this kind of manner. But that's it. Roast pork sandwiches.